Doctor Who, Sweets for My Sweet. Ah, hello there! It is I, the Sweetie Doctor. I'm going to be telling you a story today. It is a story of love, redemption, and sweets. Oh, sweets, how I love thee. Ooh, careful now, that sounded a bit evil. A bit like the Master. Well, I guess we better begin. Yes. Cue the titles. Doctor Who, Sweets for My Sweet, written and read by Nick Payne. It all began one day, not long after my regeneration and my post-regeneration trauma. I was travelling through time and space, wondering where to go next. My predecessor had been to many places as a space agent, and my first two selves had also travelled to many other planets on their travels. I didn't feel too eager to travel too much. Shocking, I know. I was young and bored, and I'd already done so much of it, and yet I was only in my mid-700s, which for a Time Lord is what 17 and a half feels like for a human. I bet you thought it would be more like 75 or something. No, 17 and a half. No wonder my immediate successor and two other future selves start their incarnations out looking like teenagers. Anyway, I wanted to spend some time in one spot for a change, to give it another go before going back into time and space. I decided somewhere on Earth, probably Britain. I settled on York, one of the great cities of Britain, and better still, home of Roundtree Sweets and York's Chocolate Story, which I helped fund for its opening in 2012. I arrived in a nice historic backstreet called Shambles. You might have heard of it. There's a lot of Harry Potter shops there now. In the year 1999, there was a shop available, and as I had become addicted to sweets, as you may know, I decided to open up a sweet shop. I had enough money, and with some contacts, I was able to secure myself a British citizenship and all the perks and also all the frustrations that came with that. Anyway, I soon established my shop, and it became one of the most popular sweet shops in York. Heck, maybe even one of the most popular sweet shops in the whole country. Even if I do say so myself. I called it Dr. Sweetie's Sweet Shop, after me, the Sweetie Doctor. It can also be called DSSS. I don't know why, but people do that sometimes. Anyway, things were going really well. I got lots of sweets delivered to the shop to sell. I got lots of customers and a lot of money. I was actually pretty popular myself, which is one of the things that drew people to my shop. I was surprised at this. Perhaps I shouldn't be. Maybe it was my reputation as an individual incarnation, or maybe of myself as the Doctor. Anyway, I arrived in that January, and it was around May that things changed a little bit. For the better, of course, for the better. One day, a young woman around 25-ish entered the shop. That's 25 in human years, by the way. And she was in a kind of a state. She frantically looked around the shop, gathering up sweets. She then came to the counter and got out her money. Then she burst into tears. She didn't have enough for all of the sweets. Oh, the poor thing. She begged me to give them to her for free. I'm afraid I can't do that, I said. This is a shop, and these sweets are not free. She looked at me heartbroken. Then she grabbed the sweets and tried to run out. She was stealing them. Hey, I shouted, that's stealing! I chased after her at once, closing the shop, of course. I didn't want any more thefts whilst I was out. I chased her down the street until I caught up with her just outside St. Crooks Church at the southern end of the street. I'm afraid I can't let you take those sweets without paying, I said, annoyed as I caught her. That would be my exercise for the week, I thought. She then cried, okay, look. I'll let you have some of them for free. You just need to pay for the ones you can afford, I said. It won't be enough, she said through the tears. Oh, tell me about it, I said. There are never enough sweets. No, she said. I meant I don't have enough food. She looked at me sadly, tears running down her cheeks. I'm homeless. I have very little money. What I was going to give you was all I had left, and could only afford lowered-priced foods like sweets. Well, why didn't you say so in the first place? I exclaimed. Come with me. I got her up and escorted her to my shop. Are you going to call the police? She asked, worried. Call the police? Call the police? Whatever for? I asked. Because I'm a thief, she whimpered. My dear girl, unless you want to be living in a jail cell for a few days, there's no point. You need a place to stay and a job, I said. In fact, I have a spare room and I could do with some help. I'll tell you what, I'll let you have all of those sweets for free if you agree to work for me. You may live in the flat above the shop as my flatmate, and over time you could get yourself back on your feet and get back to your life. How does that sound? She looked at me, tears down her cheeks, but this time they were tears of joy. She smiled. Thank you, I smiled back and opened the door to the shop. I'm the doctor, by the way. The sweetie doctor, to be precise. I know, the young woman said as we entered, and I closed the door behind us. She obviously knew of my reputation as well. What is your name? I asked her. Sally, she replied. Sally Sweet. Ha! Really? I laughed. She scowled. Sorry, I said. I then took her upstairs, showed her the spare bedroom, bathroom and toilet, kitchen, living room, and finally the tiny garden. I shouldn't complain too much. I at least have a garden. I have a house, well, a flat above a shop, but both in a house building. And it was one of the very few houses that had a garden on this street. There were very few of those. Thankfully, I'd had enough room in my garden for my TARDIS. Sally asked me why I had a police box in my garden. I told her I'll show her and explain once. I trusted her, following a period of time as my employee. I asked her how she came to be homeless. She told me she was a former prostitute who ended up not having enough clients and hence payment. So she left her job. She went unemployed for ages and was unable to get a job anywhere. Not even in the adult film industry? I asked half-jokingly. No, she replied, and because of that I was unable to secure a job. I eventually had to sell my flat and eventually I ran out of money. As you see, I needed the money to buy food and a sleeping bag, which was stolen last week, so I've just been sleeping on the pavement for the last 6 nights. Not even with a blanket. Oh, I said. All I had left was enough for some sweets that could last me a few days, Sally continued. After that, I don't know what I would have done. That is, until now, she looked at me. Why are you helping me? She asked. Because that is what I do, I said. I help people, and I felt sorry for you. At first, I thought you just didn't have enough money and stole what you couldn't afford. And whilst I was still right, now I know why, and I want to help. She smiled. Thank you. I smiled back. You're welcome. Over time, we became close friends and she worked at my shop. She was a value employee and a wonderful flatmate. Over the course of 8 months, she got her life back on track in a place she could call home and in a secure job. As she gained my trust, I showed her the TARDIS and explained to her about myself. We grew even closer after that, and she became my companion. And on New Year's Eve, we accidentally had a bit too much to drink and celebrated too much as the fireworks were going up to celebrate the new year. It was 2000, the start of a new millennium, and we woke up on the morning of New Year's Day in bed together. Oh, how we laughed. After that, we became a couple and ended up married a few years later. And we have remained like that since. And we've been very happy all that time too, I must add. And that's about it. The end. A very, very happy ending, I must say, to this story. Of course, there are many further stories in our past near 22 years together. Oh, how happy we've been. And it's been nearly 22 years since I've had my shop. What great times, what great memories. Oh, I have so many more stories I could tell you, but those are for other times. As for now, well, it's time to end. But first, I must wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Goodbye, my dears. See you again soon. Bye-bye! Are you still here? Well, in that case, would you like a sweetie? Oh, go on. You can have it for free. It's Christmas after all. Until the next time, my dears. Bye bye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne audio YouTube channel.